Welcome back. Keldamuzik is a Bay Area born recording artist. She's a television host, an actress, and an entrepreneur whose work connects music, media, and fashion. Keldamuzik began her career as a recording artist, and she has released genre blending hip hop, R&B singles, Magic, Mind Sex, and Can't Keep Up, and has been honored with a prestigious Spotify plaque for surpassing 500,000 streams for her music. And yeah, she's also responsible for bringing you the world's flyest beret, handmade headwear, excuse me, created by Keldamuzik. You can probably wear it under your hand too, but it's made for your head. Tamz is a hip hop fashion fusion aesthetic and reimagined classic beret design, emphasizing empowerment and sustainable comfort. She launched her Tamz beret fashion line in, I think, October 2021, if I've got my date right. And she also hosts and produces Diva Talk Tonight. It's a lifestyle talk show. It's now streaming on Tubi, bringing artists and stories and culture and the conversations to a broad digital audience. Diva Talk Tonight is described as a variety show featuring comedy sketches, hot topic interviews with industry movers and shakers in nightlife, entertainment, and pop culture. You got to check it out. It's hot. In 2025, she received the People's Choice Award at the 21st Annual Bay Area Black Music Awards for her outstanding work as an entertainer, community leader, and music pioneer. And at home in the Bay Area, she continues to build a community through Diva Fest, an annual event she founded to spotlight diverse local talent across music, fashion, and entertainment. Keldamuzik is an outspoken advocate for empowerment and representation, using every platform she has created to amplify voices, uplift Black women, and champion change. Welcome, Keldamuzik.
Hello, hello, Jeremiah. How are you?
I am so good, and as I said, I've had little room in my head today because your music has taken up every inch of space, and I like it.
Oh,
Uh,
oh my gosh.
so,
Thank you.
thank you. I think. So before the music, there was poetry. Who was that girl who used to write poetry, and what did dream of becoming one day?
Yeah, it was just crazy because like ever since elementary school, where, they'd have you create like your own poems, based off a certain topic, and then you're creating your own book. Well, like fast forward, I just kept writing and writing, and I knew my poetry didn't make sense. That's why I told myself, okay, this belongs on a record. This belongs in the studio. This belongs on a beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just random thoughts that would come to my head. And for me, writing poetry is like, writing in a diary, right?
Mhm.
And just putting your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, just expressing yourself. And I find it's very therapeutic. And so being able to do that really helped shape and mold my career as an artist today.
Do you remember any of the hooks or the lines that you came up with in those early days? Do you still have them? Do you have a favorite that
Oh
you
my
like?
gosh, that's a good question. I have like hundreds and hundreds stacks of papers that where I've typed up and written all my poetry, but I can't remember like one word. I can't remember. Because
Well,
it was
I
all
you know
just it was just all like gibberish, you know what I mean? It was just really
yeah.
thoughts on paper, or thoughts I typed out on the computer, but I called it poetry because this is still how I felt and what I wanted to relate to others as
Mhm.
art. But gosh, that would take a lot of digging to find
Would you
out.
share your poetry at that point? Would you share it with other people?
You know what? I didn't actually. I didn't. Um, I just kept it all to myself because, again, I felt like it was, a diary,
Yeah,
for
private.
myself, and yeah, it was private. Yeah.
Will you? I was just thinking as you were talking about the hundreds of pages you have. wouldn't that be neat someday for you to turn that into an album? Your original journal, your original poetry. That would be as a new
Yeah.
fan. As a new fan, I would love that. I'd love to hear that or see that, or maybe have
Thank
access
you.
to that in
Yes,
some way.
yes. Eventually that will happen. Eventually that will happen. I plan, like, I keep pushing back the date, but I keep planning to go back through all of, my old paperwork where I've ever written poetry, all of my old songs that I've ever recorded when I first started doing music, and I actually wanted to release that,
Yeah.
on all major platforms so people could see the growth of Keldamuzik.
Right. And that's what I really thought about your growth as I got to know more and more about you. And, from listening to the different phases, the different points in your life, the different music that you produced at those specific points in life, there really is a growth there that I'm interested in. And I think your fans are interested in. So, I mean, you can even take that as far as a book someday of your poetry, right? It's an album, it's a
Yes.
book. It'll just keep
Oh
giving
my
to you,
gosh. Yeah,
keep giving to
totally.
you and your fans.
I've been approached a couple times about writing a book because that's like the next thing on my bucket list. I have the music releases, the TV, the film, the fashion,
Yeah.
I plan on doing like a biopic on myself soon. Next would be the book, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's never
Yeah.
ending. That bucket list that bucket that you've got is very deep. You're doing quite a bit. You've got a lot to do. Do you
Yes.
still do you go back? Were there any tools? So you just wrote randomly, you just stream of conscious kind of thing, or did you have tools that you used for your poetry that maybe the hooks, the flows that you bring into your music present day
I
are the
would
things that
say
you rely on?
like I would just copy the template of what other artists do. At the
Hmm.
time, and it's funny, both beautiful queens are on tour right now, the Boys Mine tour with Brandy and Monica. Um, a while back, when I think yeah, Monica came out with Angel of Mine, and I remember I was trying to like emulate that same format, how she wrote it and how the way it was arranged. And
Hmm.
so I was trying to write a song similar to that, and I just found it really difficult. And that just brought me, it just brought it to my attention that hey, you can't really, emulate what other artists do. The template is there, the skeleton is there, the foundation, the outline, but you really have to become your own. And so, and it made sense why I never got a call back from all the labels that I used to send CDs to, right?
Right,
Because it's like, okay, who are you though? You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Yes, you're covering a Monica song, and yes, you wrote another song that sounds just like hers, to try to sound different, but you're pretty much just trying to become another Monica at the time. You know what I mean?
Well,
Um,
even that's very insightful, though. That you had that insight and that you realized that, and then were able to, turn and then develop yourself. Who am I?
right,
And
exactly. Because yeah, at first I started singing, right? That was like what I wanted to do, like pop and R&B. I wanted to be, I wanted to be a pop star.
Mhm.
And I think that's where the writing became more intense for me because now I really had to think about my thoughts thoroughly and what people could relate to. And fast forward, I found that rapping was the best way for me to express myself and to really get my point across to reach the audience that I'm trying to develop. And it worked for me. Singing, I dabble into a little bit of that now in some of my tracks, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
hip hop rap is what brought Kelda music to the masses. It's what brought me to perform internationally. It's what put me on major platforms. So definitely everything started off with writing, with poetry, and look where I am today.
Look at you are. And do you remember that moment? Like, was it a pivotal moment that you can still feel and hear and taste spiritually and physically when you went from a poet to a musician?
Yeah, yeah. Just being in that zone, sitting in your room on the floor, playing with the karaoke machine and with a pen and pad, and just writing and singing and rapping along to other songs, other artists' songs, and just really feeling that inspirational moment and learning the process. Writing is a process and I've been in the studio with many writers who write differently. We all have a style and a different way of putting together a song, a track. But I tried to copy the same process that everybody else does. You have a verse, you have a hook, you have another verse, you have a bridge. And the way music has evolved now, no one follows that same formula. People kind of just do whatever they want. I like to keep that same formula because that's what made me successful and what brought me in the music industry and what made me feel comfortable as an artist.
What were some of your very first wins in the early days?
Oh gosh. Let's see. My first win was a placement that I got on this film called Please Give, starring Amanda Peet, which was released through Sony Entertainment. And I remember my business partner and we went to the IMAX theater in San Francisco to watch the premiere of Please Give, just to wait to hear when they're playing my song. And like we were just paying like so close attention, just waiting and waiting. But then we got caught up like watching the actual film because the film was pretty good. And then, you forget why you're there. And then next thing you know, boom, my song plays at this part where the young girl picks up the phone talking to her friend, and they're playing this hip hop song, and it's by Keldamuzik, and I'm just like, and so it was so funny. We waited until the film ended, and we waited until all the credits rolled down, and everyone's like walking out, like, it's just the credits now. The film's over. There's no outtakes or bloopers or whatever, and we're
Yeah,
just like, no, we're gonna film the credits streaming across the screen. And so, yeah, in the audio music department, it said Kelda Music, wait up, please give music contribution to please give.
that's great. What a great feeling that must have been. Well,
Yeah,
first of all, I'm going to jump in here for film. For everybody watching a film, I know you don't want to watch the credits, but you got to stay through the credits. Those are all the hard people that work so hard on the films. You got to stay and watch that. I think that's just good. That's just good etiquette. But of course, I live
definitely.
in LA. I live in LA, so everybody sits through the credits.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
what kind of time gap was there between I'm in my room writing my poetry? Hey, I'm going to turn this into music. This would be great music. I'm going to become a pop star. To when you're sitting in the IMAX theater with your manager and your friends and you're watching your music up on screen on the big screen. How much time passed in between that? Was there
Oh, shoot, there was a lot
a
of
lot
time
of
that passed.
hard work in
There was a lot of
between?
time that passed. Yeah, because I was writing when I was like 16, 17, and then, musically when I entered this game professionally, it was when I was 21. So, yeah, there was quite of a gap there. And it's still, even though it was my first win, it's still like it was amazing, right? But for me, like mentally, I keep thinking that everything still has to be done through the machine, through a major label, through a major agency. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you got this on your own. If you're not, on the level like some of these other major artists, what does it really matter? So it still really didn't hit me like that. But nowadays, since artists are independent, and that's the importance of being an artist, is being independent. Now it's like, whoa, you appreciate all those wins that you achieved on your own.
Right, right. Um, was there, going from 16 to 21, were there milestones that you feel like had to have happened? Like, would you be a different person if they hadn't happened? Would you be a different artist? I mean, I guess what I'm asking, do you appreciate the hard work you had to put in? It just wasn't overnight. You just had to grind. And then the second part of that is
Yeah.
you're obviously so driven. Has it always been, have you always had that drive? And how do you cope with that? It feels like it would be the way that you're so driven, the success that you've achieved, that it would be almost like a wild Mustang that you're hanging on to for dear life. That drive,
Yeah.
that drive
Yeah.
never lets you rest. It doesn't let you let up. Is that true, or
That's
of
very,
you?
very true. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I didn't go to prom. I didn't do the whole senior trip thing or any like major high school activities. During lunchtime, I was always in the library on the computer looking up um, different record label websites and just reading the latest news on hitquarters.com that talked about what A&Rs were looking for when signing new artists, and just reading all the interviews from people behind the scenes. And
Yeah,
for me, that was more intriguing than hanging out with friends and, gossiping and doing just
yeah.
other young people stuff. There was a point in time where I had a manager in Hollywood, and she invited me out to come audition for Columbia Records. And I remember, like, Columbia Records, it was in Santa Monica, I believe. And it was during the time when Jessica Simpson and J Lo came out with their first project. And so, like, right across from the office where I was auditioning in for a pop group was J Lo and Jessica Simpson's album release party. And I was like, well, I'm like 10 feet away from these ladies, and they hadn't blown up yet, right? This was their first project. So I'm just like, whoa, if I just like get in front of them, their people, boom, here's Keldamuzik, you know what I mean? So but fast
You were
forward,
hungry.
I was hungry. I was hungry. And fast forward, I am glad that I didn't get that major big break, and that I worked for everything that I've earned, because it just lets you know that you don't need anyone, just yourself. And
Mhm.
whatever knowledge you hold up here and whatever drive you have here is what's going to keep you going and what's going to make you successful.
Is there an emotion within yourself that you deal with, that you have the most conflict with as an artist? Is there something that you come up against all the time emotionally that you're working on?
Geez. That's a really good question. Not really. Well, I guess like there's some emotions and challenges. Like I like to sleep a lot, believe it or not. People are like, how the hell do you get sleep? I like to sleep a lot. I could sleep like 12 hours a day.
I'm
um,
with you on that one,
you
by the
know,
way. I like 12 hours is perfect.
right, right. But as an entertainer, I do have writer's block. You get that. That's just what happens, and you can't really dictate what your next sound is going to be, or what you're going to write about next, or what the song is going to be about. And you can't really just rely on resources, or what you've seen other people experience. You really have to write from the heart, you know, and that's why you have fans that are fanatics and that are obsessed with your music and that sing along and rap along to your music, because you're relating to them. You know what I mean? So yeah, writer's block is real, and a lot of people don't believe it, but even just like directors, producers, writers in any
Mhm.
capacity, authors, whatever, you have that block, and sometimes you just gotta turn it off.
Now, when you have that block, will it last for days, weeks, months? Is it always different? And how do you get past that writer's block? Was there
It
a
sucks for
trick
me
like sleep a
because
lot or get away from everything, unplug? What are the tricks that you use to get past that?
Yeah, it sucks for me because if I'm done for that day, I'll procrastinate and say I'll circle back to this another time. And then next thing you know, I'm moving on to another project. And it's like, okay, now that's just on the back burner. But what I try to do is set a schedule for myself, a deadline, a short term goal. Like, okay, you might have stopped writing today, but circle back to it at least by Wednesday and have something done by the following Wednesday before you
Hmm.
start something else. Everything, and hey, thanks to Google Calendars, you know what I mean? Pop up reminders remind you to get in that thinking mode again. Even if you're not able to complete the song, at least start thinking about it again. Or if I do put it on the back burner and never circle back to it, that means it wasn't meant to be.
Hmm.
And I've had plenty of music that I've had to throw away, that I've recorded, then I listen to it and I'm just like, oh, I'm not putting this out. Even though I spent, you know, hundreds of dollars on it, from mixing and mastering and, hiring different features on it. If the track didn't really resonate with me once I listened to it as a fan's point of view, trash it and move on to the next.
I've talked to a few musicians lately. It just seems recently that has come up where they've left something behind, and 20 years later
Yeah.
it reappears in their life. Has that ever happened to you, where you're something that you just worked from every angle, but it just wasn't working, and then you let it go, and then it miraculously came back into your life and showed itself to
Oh,
you?
yeah. Oh my God, that happens all the time. So, recently there was a song that I had called One of a Kind. And when I recorded it years ago, I didn't know that it was a song that was already used by another artist. So I kind of just, didn't care about it, right? And comes to find out, recently, DJ added that track to one of his playlists on YouTube,
Oh wow.
and it came up in the Google alert saying Keldamuzik one of a kind. And I'm like, what the hell? And I listened to it and I was just like, oh, whoa. Like, my voice sounded different. Lyrically, I sounded different. Like, just everything was like, whoa, the beginning stages of Keldamuzik. But hey, guess what? There was one person out there that appreciated it. And that one person is the reason why I keep making music and keep doing what I do today, because there's always going to be one fan that likes something about you.
And most likely hundreds and thousands of years from now it lives forever and someone's going to
Yes,
discover it. That's what's so, I think it's
exactly.
so fascinating about music. I was reading something about one of your articles where you were interviewed and you talked about pacing in your life, and that pacing is so vital to your peace of mind and how you are able to accomplish everything that you do. And you alluded a little bit to it there, that you leave it, or you schedule it out, but you're kind to yourself. You're not going to put the pressure on when there's already pressure. You're feeling pressure and you're feeling stuck. You don't want to pile on. You want to spread out, give yourself a little space, and maybe pace. How
Yeah,
you can you talk about that? I think that was so important. Something I haven't heard before. How
yeah,
pacing your life, especially
yeah.
when
You
yours is so
definitely
busy.
have to pace. Yeah, definitely, definitely. You definitely have to pace yourself in everything that you do. That's why you hear about a lot of artists or entertainers passing out, or being exhausted, because you're overworking yourself and you're overworking yourself for others. And it's kind of like you become just this puppet, and you're trying to please others, from people working behind you that are depending on you to be, their meal ticket. And so, if you don't concentrate on yourself first and understand what pace you need to go on, then yeah, you're definitely going to wear yourself out. And that's where I go back to saying, hey, if you're trying to write this song, you're trying to complete this film project, whatever you're doing, and if it just doesn't hit, circle back to it another time. Take a breather, forget about it, forget you even did it, and come back to it brand new.
Hmm.
Because if you keep dwelling on it, you're you're frying your brain cells, you know what I mean, and you're just overworking yourself, and you're you're gonna exhaust yourself. So And again, that's the pleasure of doing everything independently because you do it at your own pace. And it's
Yep.
funny, I read an article about Beyonce recently, and she was just like, she's like, now she's like, I'm in my own motion, my own groove, where I do everything at my own pace. There's no pressure to put out any projects. If I want to keep putting out projects, I'm doing this because Beyonce wants to do it for the love of music and for her fans, not because,
Yeah.
there's some person over her saying, okay, come on, next album, okay, next album, okay, tour, okay, you know what I mean? There's no one there to do that. And again, that's what takes all the pressure away.
Yeah, and I feel like that was the way it has been for everything. You know that if you want to succeed,
Hmm.
it's one thing after another, and you just got to keep grinding, and you never get that clarity of going. I'm going to do it for me this time. I'm going to do it on my own pace, which I think produces such a better result. You also went on kind of to talk about waiting and taking pause and pacing, and you said that waiting gave me clarity. What were you protecting by waiting? What were you talking about? Were you protecting specifically, if you remember, and in your life, and what decisions um, were made, what good decisions or maybe bad decisions weren't made because of that patience that you practiced?
Yeah, I was protecting my peace of mind and just overall protecting my energy. Um and for me, if I did go through with the project at the pace I was at the time, then I wouldn't have been so appreciative of what the project came out like today. So, doing what I want, how I want, when I want is what drives me and which also makes me just more proud of myself. Whereas if I'm doing it on somebody else's time frame, somebody else's deadline, I'm going to totally regret it because I know that's not the way I wanted this project to turn out. So, um protecting your mind, your soul, everything. That's why we call it self-care, because there's
Hmm.
different meanings to self-care, other than just, taking a warm bubble bath and listening to, you know, comfortable, relaxing music. You know what I mean? So,
Has that
um,
mindset Go
yeah,
ahead, I'm sorry.
definitely.
Has that
Yeah, you
mindset
have to
ever
have
saved a
that.
project?
Oh yeah, yeah. That mindset has definitely saved me from a lot of situations, because there's a lot of opportunities that jump at you, right? But not
Eh,
what I've learned is not all opportunities are good opportunities. Just because it presents itself doesn't mean it's beneficial for you. You might be benefiting somebody else more than benefiting yourself. And that's where I come back to again, protecting your peace, protecting your energy, and protecting your brand, right? So there's just so many aspects to learning what to involve yourself in and what not to involve yourself in, because you think 10 years later down the line, hey, would I have made that decision then?
mhm.
Or am I just being too eager and naive to make that decision now and just hurry up and, get it over with just to say I did it? No. You want to do things carefully and take everything, proceed with caution in whatever you do.
Is being understood important to you? Do you feel like as an artist you're understood? Do you feel like your brand is understood? And is that a focus for you? Or are you sometimes misunderstood as an artist, as a brand?
Ye- Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm always insecure about my brand because sometimes I feel that I'm not relaying the right message to my audience, or maybe I have, you know, different layers of audiences. And I want to make sure that the same person that watches a Keldamuzik film is the same person who's going to enjoy a Keldamuzik song or wear a Keldamuzik beret.
Hmm.
And I want to be the same person to everybody who I meet and not be this person where I'm turning off and turning on, you know. And that's
So who
obviously
is
just,
Keldamuzik?
being, yeah, exactly. And
Who is
just being
Keldamuzik?
real.
It's an artist. Yeah, being real. Okay, I can see that. I feel that.
Yeah, so, for a while, like when I took a break from music and I started, doing Diva Talk, hosting and talking to guests, people kind of looked at me as this host. And when they looked at me as this host, they looked at me as this person who's supposed to be proper and, just really the ultimate professional person who can't curse or do anything, out of the ordinary. And I'm just like, wait a minute. If you don't
Mhm.
know who Keldamuzik is, then you shouldn't be watching Diva Talk because that's just another project under the Keldamuzik brand, under the Diva brand, just like anything else that I do. So
And
there's
that's
some
why
things
they
that people
tune in.
misunderstand.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why people watch you. That's why people listen to you. They want that authenticity. They want the Celtic music. Um, they don't want somebody else. I want to go to Tamz right now, if we could. Why the
Yes.
beret? Where did that come from?
So it was during the pandemic, and I was just thinking of a way to keep in touch with my audience, my fan base, and to leave them with something. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? Well, actually, it started from my mom, um, because she worked in the medical field. So during the pandemic, she kept sending me berets that she ordered off Amazon. And she was like, stay warm, keep warm, protect your hair, protect your scalp, because that's how you directly get sick. And then I started receiving a lot of compliments with the berets. And so I said, no one has ever branded a beret in pop culture, entertainment, or the black community, or hip hop. Why not come out with a beret line and make
Smart.
it make it unisex? Everybody could wear it. Children, whoever. There's no judgment. Anybody could wear a beret. you know and because of that, I started producing fashion shows, and I give the non-traditional model, my customer, a chance to walk on the runway and feel like a freaking model for one day just by wearing a beret. No judgment on how old she is, her weight, her looks, her age, his body type, whatever. Wear a beret and work those legs on stage, work that beret on stage.
I love it.
And so,
I
yeah.
love it. Okay, so let me give a little more information out about this for the listener, in case you're not aware of these great berets, Tams that Kelda Music has designed and is selling out there through her handcrafted beret brand, Tams. She's partnered with the U.S. nonprofit Hair to Stay to help low income cancer patients access scalp cooling treatments that prevent hair loss during chemotherapy. The collaboration, built around the message empowering confidence and supporting healing, one beret at a time, reflects her belief that fashion can restore dignity and confidence while fueling social impact. So it's also got a really, not only fashionable, but it's also got a really great social impact to the design. And you've donated a portion of each sale and led the Hair to Stay team walk with your
Hmm.
models. The Tams and Hair to
Hmm.
Stay partnership is a unique mix of fashion, health, and advocacy. What sparked you to combine your lifestyle brand now that you've come up with, that you discovered so brilliantly, with the health cause? And how did that, how did the deal become real?
Yeah. So, I always had it in mind with the berets that I wanted to partner with a hair loss organization. And before I even worked with Hair to Stay, um, I donated some berets to an organization called Boldly Me, and they were an alopecia nonprofit. So I donated a portion of berets to them as well, and then they invited me to speak at their fundraiser to talk about the berets. Same conversation we're having right now is what I was talking about before, a whole ballroom full of people. Fast forward, I donated to another alopecia organization in Canada. And then I did some research and I said, hey, you know what? I just really want to go after just the hair loss organizations, period.
Hmm.
Let's find another local one here in the Bay Area. And I did some research and I really love the message that Hair to Stay was was providing, you know, raising funds for those who, are less fortunate and that are going through chemo and losing their hair and, looking to maybe if they got to go outside, they're not comfortable,
Hmm.
being bald, right? And it's not really about covering it up with a beret, but it's just something that's comfortable, easy to use, and that's going to protect your scalp.
Well, and also you chose a very specific intervention, scalp cooling during chemotherapy.
Yeah.
What? How did you narrow that down to that specific need? I think it's so brilliant.
Yeah, I just like the idea. I like the idea. I like the message, and I liked all the activities that they were doing to contribute to their message and the awareness that they're promoting. And the staff is amazing. Everybody who works with the organization, um, Daria, Lola, they're all amazing individuals, just beautiful souls that you could talk to and that you could easily work with. So I plan to do more projects with them, and we continue to keep graphics in rotation on social media about
Hmm.
our partnership. And again, there's a link on my flyer on the Tamz website where you can donate to the cause and receive a beret.
Yeah, I'm going to give that out right now. It's Tamz by Keldamuzik, empowering confidence, supporting healing one beret at a time. It's a great cause. You can go to weartamz.com, and Tamz is spelled Tamz. So weartamz.com. I'm going to give that out again at the end there. Let's move. It's such a great cause, and thank you for doing that. I hope you got
Thank
a lot
you.
of love for that. It's such a great idea. The Diva Workout, the new album out. We're
Yes.
gonna play the new
Yes.
single, a featured single here at the very end. It's called "Falls Apart." So let's talk about the album. It's a little bit of a change for you, isn't it? It's a
It
stylistic
is.
pivot. It's You incorporate EDM influences, um, which inspired my opening segment, the EDM influences and hip hop and R&B into the
Hmm.
album. Was Tell me about the EDM, the club journey, the reinvention of your sound. Tell me about how it all came to be.
Yeah. So it was on Facebook. I just, I put it out there like in 2019. I said, hey, are there any producers out there that are looking to, create some pop, R&B, house music, dance songs? And Robot Millennium reached out. He's the producer of all the tracks. And we just started working together and we came up with Swipe Right, Get Loose, Falls Apart, Magic. So it's like all a blend of, yeah, R&B, Afro tech, EDM, and me, obviously I'm still learning more about that side of music. But to me, it's just really, it's relaxing, it's cool, it's fun, it's positive, it's, great energy, and when I released the Diva workout, I am trying to cater that to the fitness industry because this, I believe, will encourage those who don't work out to want to start working out or
Hmm.
just doing something fitness related to keep yourself healthy and to, mentally keep yourself healthy. And I did a music video for it. Um, I actually had others star in the music video for me, my Tams models. I used them in the music video for the remix of Get Loose. You guys can find that on YouTube or on my website, keldamuzik.com. And again, it's just to promote fitness, promote health, um, promote eating healthy, and just overall being a healthy individual.
So many things, all the things that you're doing, I just love. Here's one that I think is so incredible as well. How you build community. You're building community through music, through all the things you're describing, and through your different media outlets and brands. But Diva Fest, this is an annual event
Yeah.
that you founded. It spotlights diverse local talent across music, fashion, entertainment. Um, how do
Yes.
you identify the talent that you spotlight, and what do you hope to promote? What do you hope to happen to them afterwards? Are you giving them a spotlight to grow from as you did in your teens and as you learned the music business and the fashion entertainment? What are you hoping, and how do you choose the people in the Diva Fest?
Yeah, so I work with a gentleman by the name of EMP. I linked up with his promotions company. Um, he's helping me provide the platform, and I bring in the artists. And this is an opportunity where these are our stars, and we hope that we're giving them a platform to shine and to grow. It's just like when you're looking for a job, you have to do a little bit of internship and gain experience under your belt before
Mhm.
you just go out there in the corporate world, right? So, same thing in the music industry for artists. We're giving them a platform to shine and to really, showcase their talents to others. And from there, it's a ongoing networking opportunity or networking journey for them because that'll lead to another gig and another gig. And since the Diva Fest was so successful, we started the Diva Tour. So, on a monthly basis, we have an artist showcase called the Diva Tour here in Oakland at Lux. And we have different performers come and perform. We have different themes for each event. Like the one we have coming up is called Divas Holiday. So we're just, booking all the R&B singers that we know, giving them a song apiece and performing, during the holidays. And I invite all of my network out, all my media people, all my photographers, camera people, videographers, and it just becomes a big network, a big soup bowl of everyone networking. And so now I even have, my own little groups on Facebook chat and IG where it has like over 50 artists in there. And it's just a pool of artists that we can pull and say, hey, do you want to perform here? We have the photographers in there, and, everyone's exchanging pictures and videos at the end of the event. So it's just, I like to call myself a network, Diva Network. And that's
Yeah.
why I create these events because it just continues to bring people together.
And you're also called a voice for Black females, and I know that's very important to you to nurture that and to grow
Yes.
that. Uh, How do you translate the idea of being a voice into actionable change that makes a difference? It's such a big undertaking, it feels like, and but such a good one. How do you do that? What's your ideas for this?
Yeah, you have to just speak to your audience, relate to your audience, and what I've learned is you can't go by a script when talking to people, right? It has to come from the heart.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't come from the heart, then it's not being realistic with other people. People want to talk to a human being and understand what you've been through and what changes you'd like to see in the world, almost like a politician, right? And so me, I just do it through art. I don't do it through politics. I don't do it through sports. I don't do it through engineering or whatever. I do it through art. So that's my way of speaking to the community. And every time I host an event, or produce an event, I'm always hosting it, talking to everyone, and genuinely building relationships with people, not just, inviting people to come spend $5 or $10 to get into the venue and then, go home goodbye. No, I want to shake your hand, look you in the eye. I want to make sure we're following each other on all social media platforms, and just, continue to build with people. And that's my motto for years, and it will always be, let's build.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Okay, so finally, and this is not finally, you have got so much going on, but we're almost out of time. So let's talk about Diva Talk on Tubi. Season
Yes.
one is finished. Yes, season one, if I understood it
Yep.
correctly. What's coming up with season
Yep.
two? Can you
Season one.
tease us? Yeah,
Yeah,
any
so
teasers?
we'll be doing season, yep, we'll be doing season two probably around this time next year. Reason being is I really want to carefully sort out which guests I want ahead of time, and not just kind of just book anybody because I know them. I really want to, bring on unique people. There was
Hmm.
an episode where I had on a magician on the show, and he hypnotized everyone. I really want to start bringing people like that on the show,
Did that
something
really
that
work?
people could leave with it. You know what? Till this day, I don't know. He tried it on me live on the show, but then he said something like, "Well, you're the host, so the host naturally won't feel anything." I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. He must have had a
You know,
talk with some of the cast members
I've
beforehand.
always wondered to
You
talk to
know,
somebody that got hypnotized. I've always wondered, like, does it really work? I want to ask that question. Looks kind of cool.
right? Does that really work? Right?
um,
Yeah.
okay, and then you've got this is really cool. You've got on Amazon Prime the Hodges. You're in the Hodges. You want to set that up for us a
Yes.
little bit?
Yeah, so I'm the co-star on the Hodges. It's focused around comedian Mario Hodge, who's a successful comedian from Oakland, California, and I play his wife. It's produced by A Brown Film Production, and it's just us living our lives day in day out. Him being a struggling comedian, and me being the wife who supports the family, including his career. No one knows what I do for a living. But that's the beauty of it, And my knuckleheaded husband is just, like messing up in life, but still trying to become the successful comedian. But yeah, we have 6 installments streaming on Amazon Prime right now. We've already done a couple of launch parties to premiere it, and we're hoping that a season two will come into place pretty soon.
Well, everybody out there listening, go to Amazon Prime and watch the Hodges. Let's make sure that season two is a reality. Here's my final question for you,
Yes.
Diva. You like to reinvent yourself. That is obvious,
Yes.
and you're constantly growing and but also sharing a lot of yourself with everyone. And so, thank you for that. I hope you get thanked for that quite a bit. What form, though, will the
Yes.
Diva take next?
Next, I'm gonna produce a trailer in hopes of it becoming an actual show about myself and journey as a young rap artist and everything, all the obstacles, the ups and downs that I've been through, because it happened.
Hmm.
And I think it's just, with everything being reality now, this could shed some light on the female hip hop movement that's going on
Yeah.
right now.
Be a great documentary. I love it. You got everything for it. Well, listen, we listened
Thank you.
on this the music soundtrack for today is all Keldamuzik. We opened up with Get Loose. We went to break with That's Why. We came back in with Get Up and Get It, and we're about to hear the new single off of the Diva Workout album. It's Falls Apart. Just wanted to say again about Keldamuzik and remind here at the end, if you just joined us, Keldamuzik extends her artistry into real world impact, and that's so rare, but we're all so grateful for that. And through her Tamz beret line, she partners with Hair to Stay to help cancer patients afford scalp cooling treatments during chemotherapy. And at the same time, her Diva Fest platform uplifts Bay Area talent in music and fashion and entertainment. She continues to use her voice to empower and represent women, turning creativity into community and purpose. We're about to play Falls Apart here, the new single. And from the Bay Area to the world, she's bold, she's real, and she's bringing the heat. Join recording artist and TV host Keldamuzik for Diva Talk tonight, now streaming on Tubi. And again, The Hodges on Amazon Prime. Conversations on Diva Talk tonight. There's conversations with creators, innovators, and dreamers who own their voice. Diva Talk tonight because confidence never goes out of style. And the Jeremiah Show is brought to you by Tamz, by Keldamuzik, handcrafted berets with a purpose. Through her partnership with Hair to Say, a portion of every Tamz beret helps cancer patients afford scalp cooling treatments during chemotherapy. Style meets strength. Tamz by Keldamuzik, empowering confidence, supporting healing, one beret at a time. Go to weartamz.com. That's WEARTAMZ.com. And here it is. Before I play Falls Apart, Keldamuzik, thank you so much for being on the show today, sharing a little bit of your
Thank you
life.
so much for having me, Jeremiah.
Okay, here it is. Falls Apart.